All right. You want to start?
I can go ahead and start, so that way Kelly's mic'd up, so I'll start talking so we can make sure that I'm heard as well. If not, we'll have to start all over. It's awesome that Taylor shouted out WKNC, because Kelly and myself are both KNC alums. We spent more time up there than a lot of other people have the luxury to do so. And when we finished college, they let us stay and do some other things, but we knew that wherever we grew in our professional development, we always wanted to have radio be a part of our life. So Little Raleigh Radio kind of started as an idea for how that could happen, but that wasn't enough, and because we knew that there should be something, but we had to figure out what we were making. So we started with a vision, and a lot of our conversations steered around to the fact that as humans, what we do is we create and we consume. So we produce things and we take things away. And that's just part of being alive. And if we wanted to spend our energy creating something, we wanted it to be connected to our community. That's why we decided to have this hyper-local focus with the radio that we were developing. And we came up with a mission, which is we want to use radio to give value through voice to people and the things that they create by engaging people in Raleigh that do so. But with the ideological vision, to make it real, we had to go a step further.
So far, right now, we're in the middle of our soft launch, so we have live programming from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m., which means for the most part, Monday through Sunday, there's a live DJ in our little studio from 4 to 8 p.m., which has been an amazing feat. So you can tune in. It's online streaming right now. Our FCC application is pending. And like with any federal government thing, it keeps pending and pending and pending. So we just continue to focus on what is our passion and how to stay engaged with our volunteer group. Jacob talked a little bit about the idea of passion and creativity, and I think Jacob and I work really well together when it comes to creative endeavors, because I tend to be very picky and very just very detail oriented, and I have this it has to be perfect vision, and Jacob tends to be more focused around the passion and the creativity, so we complement each other really, really well, and sometimes not well.
We trust Kelly a lot for knowing what is and what isn't quality, which is something that we've invested now 3 years of our life into this station. So quality is important, and hopefully you guys are enjoying what you're hearing. The goal right now for our soft open was to be on from 4 to 8 p.m. Some nights we're going as late as 11 o'clock. And we should have a schedule up soon.
Yeah.
And this started as a creative project, but it's become a lot more. And anytime that you engage in something creative, while you're actually engaging, it will grow. And when it's growing, you're going to discover that there are things that are hidden. And we decided that the 3 things that we wanted to talk about with projects is that you're going to find hidden challenges, hidden resources, and hidden rewards. Did I skip stuff?
Yeah,
I did.
But before we get to that, we want to start the presentation off this way because, just start a radio station, right? Just go and do it. It's easy. And when we went to file for our incorporation through the state of North Carolina as a nonprofit, it was really just paperwork. And you go in the Secretary of State building and you give them your paperwork and your check. And
well, we were all set for to have this meeting. We're like, they're going to ask us questions about what we're doing. I had helped start a theater company in the early 90s, the mid 90s, 97. And we went to the Secretary of State, and they tried to talk us out of that. They were like, theater is really competitive. Raleigh just, it doesn't have the things there to support these projects. And so I expected to go through that again. And this community has changed so much that we went in.
Just filled out the paperwork, and literally that's the easy button that you press in the Secretary of State building when you leave. You just press easy. And I think that has been the only easy thing we've done since then. So I just kind of wanted to throw that in there. That was a great moment that we always look back on. So to the three things that Jacob mentioned: hidden challenges, hidden resources, and hidden rewards. So we're kind of going to go through each one of these. We won't describe the project necessarily chronologically. We might jump back and forth in time, but we really wanted to stay on the themes of hidden challenges, hidden resources, and hidden rewards. So the first one, hidden challenges, is passion versus your project. Do you want me to?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well.
Okay, so, well, it's a creative thing, and with any creative thing, it's birthed from passion. And, you know, passion is fueled by this idea: you have to do this, you want to do this. It's probably not what you're getting paid for. And with any creative thing, it's really easy to have a tangent over here, or have a thought go over here, or start talking about this, and then 30 minutes later, you don't have any notes, and or just be completely consumed by the idea and not even begin to start to figure out how to get to where you're going. So although it's maybe not a fight between passion and project, you have to have both. And the project part, I think, is what's been the hardest.
It's been what's hard, but we needed that because when we were just investing our passion, although thankfully it's been contagious to others, and we'll talk about that during hidden resources, you sometimes would feel like you're not working hard enough to finish. Like, oh, if I can just stay up till 7 a.m., I can get this done. And if you don't make that mark, then you feel like, you know, it's because you didn't have the passion that's there. And by bringing in the project, you bring in reason. Like, this is a thing that I'm doing. There's going to be steps for how to complete it. But the balance, which is what if there was a conflict, is having that balance between project and passion, is that you want to make sure that you're enjoying what you're doing, that you don't lose what you love about it.
And for the longest period of time, I think it was a good year and a half, we were struggling. We kind of got caught up in what I call the infinite to-do list, like cross one out, add 5. And it's hard. I mean, because like we went into this, you know, with the passion of radio, high on this idea of making a radio station, but then got stuck in the trenches of what is a nonprofit and how do we organize people and how do we get things done. So that passion or that need to be creative slowly got just, you know, buried. And this is actually a picture that Jacob took for one of our newsletters that we sent out to our volunteer base saying, hey guys, we're still moving. This is the track we're on. You know, it's a long list of things to do, but we're going somewhere. There's an end point. And thank you for sticking with us. So, you know, as much as to-do lists are important, don't let them entirely consume you, because it can be really hard. And speaking of really hard.
So with one of the challenges is, you know, where do you get your materials from? Where are you going to, for us, build a music library? Where are you going to get microphones from? Somebody else might, where do I get marble from? I'm out of paint. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. Where do I go? So we needed to, one of our tangible challenges was building resources. And we knew from some meetings that we had that there was a lot of community support. So we went the crowdfunding route and we did a Kickstarter campaign.
Just do a Kickstarter. Like, if anybody ever says to you, you guys should do a Kickstarter, you need to stop, put your hands on their shoulders and say, have you ever done a Kickstarter? Because it is the most undertaking thing ever. I mean, it consumed us for an entire year, I think. You know, we got the video together, we launched the campaign, you know, we figured out what everything is going to be. We launched the campaign, and then we had to promote it, and then we had to spread the word, and then we had to continue promoting it. And it got to be very consuming. But at the same time, it was consuming for a good reason. So this picture right here is a sign that we made. We did an installation in Design Box, and it was kind of like our first presentation to the community, our first kind of exposure of who we were. And we worked with John Yu, who has a picture in here in a little bit, on the idea, and we worked with Ali and Brittany at Design Box to you know, have an installation in their front window so people could kind of be exposed to our name and get an idea of what we were doing. So at the same time, that was a whole nother project within the Kickstarter to do that. It really brought us together as a team. So these are some of the pictures of us assembling the sign. We came up with this idea. We literally, I think, we went to Lowe's or Home Depot.
It was Lowe's. The
night before. and we were like, okay, so we have this idea to make this sign out of microphone cable. How are we going to do it? Oh, I don't know. And then okay, plexiglass. We need a screwdriver. We need zip ties. And we really just we came together and we did it. And all the volunteers started showing up. And we're like, we're not quite sure how we're going to put this sign together, but let's do it together. So it was kind of 2 meetings of that, but it was, it was needing to work through those things that you weren't sure how you were going to do. And for us, it was good because it was physical. We weren't just sitting around a table talking, crossing things off. This is probably one of the best hidden gems that we had throughout that first 1.5 years because we made something and then it hung in a window for 6 weeks so people could brag about it, whether they made it or they saw it. So that's us screwing in plexiglass, working on the sign. That's us trying to hang up the sign with fishing wire, right? Yeah. And level it with no level. And cheering because we finally got the sign hung up. And at the same time, it also worked out because this project gave us photo opportunities. So there were things in this little project within the big project within the big project that we didn't even know we were getting. And this is John Yu, who sat down with me a couple times and we brainstormed the idea of the Raleigh and the little and what are we going to do. So he's been really helpful in this whole project. And then we're celebrating the sign being done and the installation being done. And then, so this ran throughout the course of our Kickstarter. So this was, I think, on the first Friday that the sign was up. This was Design Box, where everybody was able to see it. And fortunately, our Kickstarter was successful, very successful. But yeah, for the record, you ask somebody if they say just do a Kickstarter, because that in itself, it could be a hidden nightmare. But we did it, and it was successful, and it helped us really to realize our biggest thing, and that was our hidden resources, the people, because we could not have done that. I mean, there's no way that could have happened without everybody that helped.
Yeah, so the Kickstarter, it definitely was a point where we were being tempered, because sometimes we definitely reached our breaking point when we're looking at spreadsheets, trying to figure out who's designing what t-shirt, where the stickers are coming from, where the stickers really are coming from, when the magnets are going to get there. But at the same time, it was the first real big victory of Little Raleigh Radio. The donors are not only the money, which is awesome, and is paying for pretty much the things that you're hearing now when you tune in from 4 to 8. But it also was the time that we came together, not as a Jacob and Kelly thing, but this was now a community thing. This was Little Raleigh Radio. Between the Design Box party and the packing party, those were my first 2 really happy memories with it. And we've had a lot more since then, because we started working together in work groups. We created 5 work teams for 2013. We're building this year's work teams right now. We're going to have 7 of them working on different projects. And it's where the community gets to come in and bring their vision to Little Raleigh Radio as well. One of those teams is the communication, branding, and events team. And they've been deciding kind of when we're out being engaged with Raleigh rather than hiding in our studio where we're going to be. These 2 volunteers, it's Bex and Chris, they pretty much handled our whole Boogaloo engagement, which was really fun.
We were able to use the sign again that people had seen in the fall prior to Boogaloo, so it was kind of an element of who we were out in the public again, but they got everything together. They worked with the Boogaloo contacts, they organized the temporary tattoos, they got the stickers together, they assigned shifts of who's going to be where. It was really amazing because it was just like I just get to show up kind of thing. And that, and it's stress relieving as that is, it's also really encouraging. So that idea of hidden resources within our group was really, that's kind of what jump-started it. And we continue to do more events. So these are a couple of pictures of events that either the communications team has done or we've done as a group. We had a birthday party at the Mission Valley Cinema, where we showed a movie on corporate FM, and we also did a filing party at Neptune's, and those were 2 events entirely put together by not Jacob and I. So the creativity, the fuel by other people. But
those events are what paid for our music licensing for this year.
Yeah.
So that way we can make sure that the artists that we play get paid.
And then another huge hidden resource that has kind of just been underlying the whole way through is Prometheus Radio Project. They're a nonprofit out of Philadelphia, and they've been really helpful in helping us to get our low power FM license. So we could probably have a whole different presentation on LPFM, but just to let you guys know, it's what's going to let us butt up to the big commercial radio stations on the dial. It's a piece of legislature that got passed by Obama back in 2001.
2011.
2011, sorry.
Signed into law in 2012.
So yeah, so the first time that it opened was in 2001, and then 2011 is the second time that they decided to open up these LPFM things. So that's just kind of a little insight into that. So we're online and on the air, hopefully on the air, working.
And with that, what we were discovering was we have this hidden resource of this community that we're creating. They're our collaborators, but we also have hidden resources because the things that we believe in and our ideas, they have values to other people. It might not even be the same values that we bring to it, but there's going to be that support. There's going to be that one, whether it's Prometheus Radio that's working on a national level, groups like the Raleigh Public Record or Friends of World Music that are able to give us support through projects that they've walked a foot in our shoes, or people like Stephen White who we live in the Triangle. We're told we had to go to Ohio to find a frequency engineer. Stephen, turns out, lives in Raleigh. He loves doing frequency engineering. So
Yeah.
without him, we wouldn't have been able to get our LPFM application in on time, and we'd have to wait another 10 years.
Just an amazing guy that came out of the woodwork via email. And I mean, absolutely just so important in our LPFM application. He's very elusive to pictures, however, so we don't have a picture of him.
Oh, and how you find those hidden community supports is you do have to tell your story. Stephen found out about us because Colin Campbell found out about us, who's now one of our music directors, and he wrote a story on Little Raleigh Radio, and Stephen read it, and he's like, I'll go help him, which has been awesome.
So this is a picture of our board, our very old, sometimes working, sometimes not, board, but it was a donation from Leo Reynolds. He pulled it out of his attic, and Leo Reynolds works for WCOM, which is a low-power FM station in Carborough, who got their license the first time around in 2001. So that was, a really big hidden resource for us that, here, it's not perfect, but here, you're going to save probably around $5,000 by, having this donations. And at the same time, are we saving money? It really, again, brought people together. You can see all the hands working on the board to get it up and running. So this is a picture of Doug and Charles, sorry.
And it's taken by John Breyer. They were kind of the heads of our work team that was getting our equipment up and running.
So again, hidden resources and kind of coupled with hidden challenges. Because there's a different gremlin in the board every time we go to get on the air. So it's always nice. It keeps it surprising. And then we just kind of want to talk about hidden rewards, because really what's the point of an infinite to-do list or fixing a board or fundraising or doing a Kickstarter if there's not something good that comes out of it? And we decided just to show you a bunch of pictures of our volunteers, because that's been the biggest hidden reward. Hearing some of these DJs get on the air and do their thing, or training them, or listening to them ask questions or get excited has been the biggest reward ever. So this picture is an on-air sign that Doug, who you saw previously, brought in and hooked up. So we have one in the studio and one on the door. And our little studio is small. It's like a little office space off of St. Mary's. Probably like 20 by 18 feet, maybe, yeah.
It holds the board,
yeah.
Some chairs.
But when you press the mic light, this sign lights up. And it's just like, he did that on his own. That was something he wanted to do, and it's amazing. So we're gonna cycle through some of the pictures of our DJs and tell you a little bit about them.
Yeah, so one of the biggest hidden reward that we've got was, yes, we were making a station for our community, and we expect to be, through the work we're doing, to be more connected to Raleigh. But we didn't expect that we would be growing a community in Little Raleigh Radio. So This is somebody that I didn't meet before we started this project. Did you?
No, I had no idea who this guy was.
This is Ryan Moore. He has a show on Saturday afternoons from 5 to 6 o'clock. If you are in a 90s hardcore band in Raleigh, he has your audio cassette, and he will use it against you.
And he's awesome. He brought in a cassette player, and like he hooks it up every week, and that's his thing. Like that's his jam, cassette player.
This is Trevor Holland. He loves radio. He met his wife at WSHA when they both were hosting shows up there, and he's had a lot of ideas that he wanted to use to bring radio to life. That because you already know what college radio is supposed to sound like and what public radio is supposed to sound like, he had to be like, nope, you're doing this right now. So he's a good example of the freedom and experimentation that we get to try out. He does a punky reggae show on Sunday nights from 8 to 10 o'clock. That's another WSHA alum. His name is Bob, but he goes by the DJ name of Riley. So hopefully I didn't destroy the illusion.
No, but I think he had always gone by Bob, and when he started doing this project, he's like, I want a different name. I want to be Riley. So it's really cool to see people make it their own. And then this is another one, Kate Madalena, DJ Old Shoes, super, super important in what we've been doing, from making the Kickstarter video to hanging in there when the work groups were semi-functional, and now to doing the museum show she does on Mondays.
Yep.
Yeah.
And with that, Kate's a good example of one of the things we wanted to do was use radio to not just entertain, but to be out in the community. And we've had to learn how to do that. Kate's like, nope, this is how we're doing it. And what she wanted to celebrate was Raleigh's community, museums, the fact that we're the Smithsonian of the South. This is Keith Ward. He used to do the New Romance Night at King's back when they were at the 424 South McDowell Street location. He does, I don't like electronica. I love his show. It's a rediscovered and new beats music show, and it is a treat to listen to.
And this one is Richie Reno. He does a show called High and Tight, super fun guy. Again, has radio background, but has used this as a time to make it his own and do something creative outside of his day job. So that's a super fun show to listen to. That's Wednesdays at 4 o'clock.
A lot of times he'll be like, when I was a program director, we couldn't allow this. Is this okay? And we're like, yeah, go for it. And we win every time.
And this is Brenna Sia, who is DJ Lux Posh out in the community, if you see it on a poster. She's been with us from the very beginning, super awesome person, very excited, is a traditional DJ for like the purpose of clubs and then have adapted to the on-air style, but dedicated, super supportive. We'll be DJing the
HU Raleigh opening party next week. I think she's DJing at 7 o'clock, representing Little Raleigh Radio, and the fact that we should be having some partnerships with great startups in our community.
And then this is Rich, DJ Filthy Rich. We poached him from WKNC. He's a heavy metal dude. He comes on after Jacob and I on Tuesdays. He starts at 7, goes 7 to 9.
Yeah, he goes 7 to 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
And he's basically using heavy metal music to teach about international geography. He's a great animator, and if people tell us they love our logo, which is awesome, we'll have tattoos somewhere for you when you leave. But he's the guy that designed our logo.
And this is Doug. Doug is the great technical engineer of Little Raleigh Radio, and you can see the Raleigh sign in the background in our studio. So when is his show?
His show is Fridays from
Okay.
4 to 5:30. It's called Esoterica. It's mostly like B-side collections, and it's a lot of fun. I knew that he runs the Square Rabbit, but who knew that he built a recording studio in his basement because he wanted to have a place to tape bands.
So these next two pictures are of the State of Beer, which I think is probably one of our biggest hidden gem programs right now. If I was a program director at WUNC, I would be so mad I didn't think of this show. They bring in, it's Les Stewart, Woody, and Chris. Woody and Chris are from the Busy Bee, and Les is from Trophy. I'm sure you know Les. And they, every week, talk about beer. They talk about home brewing, microbrewing, Belgian beers. They usually do a tasting and describe it over the air. And they have just hit the ground running. Probably one of the most dynamic teams that we have right now, because they just took it and they made it their own. And it's an awesome show. So that's their show, and they usually bring in a guest every week as well.
A different North Carolina-based microbrewer.
And then the
What is that?
That's on Thursdays from 5 to 6 o'clock.
yeah.
And they have a homebrew hotline, so if you're trying to make your own home brews and you don't know whether you want to add fruit or not, you can get in contact with them and they will argue about the best way to have you finish your product.
Yeah, kind of think like Car Talk, but for beer. It's great. Yeah.
And they do feedback throughout the week. I think it's facebook.com/stateofbeer.
Yep. And then this is Mark Healy, who's here today. Thank you, Mark. He does a show Thursday night, yeah, interviewing local artists about kind of music that is their own and what's had an influence on them. And I was able to train him, and that for me was a really amazing moment, teaching somebody and watching them learn and take it and make it their own. And it's just kind of another example of a hidden reward or hidden gem within your group.
Yeah, and some other hidden things we maybe don't have pictures for, but when you're working on creative projects, there's also going to be ways that you get to grow as a person and as a creator. One of the coolest things that I've gotten to do so far is we've had like nonprofits that just reach out to us. They're like, hey, we are working on our arts access at 30th birthday party at CAM. Can you guys get a PSA out there? And we don't have to go through anybody. We can just make this happen. And then I think there's also the music school. We had them on the air with like less than a 24-hour turnaround. And what's great is when these people come to you, you don't have to go to other folks. You can assert this sense of control of, yes, this is what we are supposed to be miking up. This is what we're sharing with the community. And when you're figuring out what that control is, you really feel alive. And it's almost like cracking a microphone again for the first time. And when you're doing your day jobs that support your night jobs and things like that, you'll want to take that control with you because you feel like you're a creative human being, and that's a wonderful thing. And then the other thing that you really get, or at least that I've gotten, sometimes I won't want to go out, and I love music, but I'll feel intimidated that there's too many people at a show or that I won't understand a gallery. But now that I have Little Raleigh Radio, I am wanting to go out and experience things again. And I think that creative people will have happier lives because they are part of the community.
Yeah, I think I feel the same things. It feels really good to be able to be creative for yourself. So even if your job on a daily basis is where you get to be creative, it's often saying, oh, we need you to work on this brief, or we have this client, or we need you to fix this. But it's very rare do you get to go, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to try something different. And if you have that job, let me know. So to be able to do this on the side at night and take it back into my other job is also really important because we whipped up this presentation pretty quickly. And I was like, oh, these are my job skills transferring over to my passion skills. So it goes both ways. And Jacob and I worked really hard on this presentation, and we were trying to figure out how to close the presentation. And it was, Wednesday night, we're like, how do we close this? Should we do a picture of Raleigh? Should we have a sunset? Should we? We spent like a good 20, 30 minutes, like a quote. Do we leave you with something?
We got kicked out of the coffee shop.
Yeah, yeah. Do we leave you with a quote that's really inspirational? And we started to like map out hidden again, and we're just like, oh, we're overthinking this. And then I started laughing, and I realized we have the best hidden resource ever. In the process of transferring the URL names that I owned over when we incorporated as a nonprofit, I accidentally transferred wastedwhitegirls.com as well as littleraleigh.radio.org to our account. So if you need to make a tax-deductible donation and you are interested in pursuing an idea I had a long time ago called wastedwhitegirls.com, you can purchase wastedwhitegirls.com for a tax-deductible donation. So this is, I think, our biggest hidden resource. We still kind of bank on this, that this will be the money that gets us, really, 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 really gets us going. So that's our biggest hidden resource is wastedwhitegirls.com. So thank you. Yeah.
So we've got playing the wasted white girls?
So I graduated, first time I graduated was the end of '08 into the recession, and it was crap. I mean, it was like the worst time possible to graduate. And I was bartending and waiting tables at Raleigh Times, which often meant I was serving drunk people nachos at 1:30. And one night, it was just like a Wednesday or a Thursday, and these girls were in the dining room, and they were just wasted, and they wanted nachos. And I was like, they're so annoying. And in a weird way, it's funny. And because of the internet, there's no privacy in a public place anymore. I was like, this is great. I'm going to put together a website called Wasted White Girls, where people take the pictures of the white girls, and you can kind of like a Yelp meets, it. I've never done anything with it because I kind of feel bad about it, like. But however, if anybody wants to do it, you can purchase it from us. It's a great idea. I'll give you the pitch. Yeah. So yeah, that's Wasted White Girls.
How do you balance your day job and this and your personal life? Like, how does
that? Recently, for me, it's been, what have I done this week? I kind of look at it in thirds. I'm like, okay, well, I know I have to do this, the big third for my day job. Then the nighttime, what have I done this week? Have I gone out? Have I hung out with friends? Have I worked out? Have I, got my heart rate up? Have I put time into this? And for the longest time, I wasn't putting enough time into myself, into like my personal or my health. And I was just doing radio and just doing work, and that doesn't work. Like you break, you're not happy. So now it's like I just look and try and fill out that spread. And I try not to beat myself up either. Like if I go out and have a beer and maybe I don't get to all my Little Raleigh radio emails, that's okay. Like I'm a person, I need to go do those things. So just kind of overview.
And with that, kind of focus on, I think, 1 to 3 things that you're doing at a time instead of feeling like you have to do everything. And so you say, this is what I'm working on. This is where I'm going now. And we had the luxury, at least, of having collaborators, so we'll remind each other to seek out that balance.
Yeah.
Too many questions.
We'll go this way, yeah.
Well, yeah, kind of follow up on that. How do you know when to stop? I do a lot of work for myself in kind of a creative aspect, and I sometimes don't know when to stop and just keep working. How do you handle that?
I have a revolving to-do list, and I usually break that to-do list down into 3 things. So, I mean, it's really, the to-do list has always been very consuming for me. I mean, it's just long. So I have the long to-do list, but then I take a sticky note and I write, okay, I'm going to work on Little Raleigh Radio, or I'm going to work on this section of my job, and I write 3 things down. And I don't leave what I'm doing until those 3 things are crossed off. So it may not make my big to-do list go away, but it made that little one go away. And then sometimes I just don't stop. It's not healthy.
But a big way is kind of, somebody asked me recently, if you give yourself advice in the future, what would it be? And for me, it would be enjoy what you're doing. When you feel like you can't stop, you stop enjoying it. And so for me, it's keeping focus on, again, that railroad track focus photo. Where do I want to be at that I can enjoy next? And that's when I remember to breathe, is when I get to those states.
Is there a possibility that you have podcasts or will have podcasts? Because your programs sound wonderful, but if you can't, tune in at Thursday from 5 to 6.
So it varies a lot. Definitely, we're looking into how we can legally archive the shows that we're producing. There's some rules that we have to follow. A big one is the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, which is outdated. But for our music shows, there will be a way that eventually we can have them be long form, non-scrollable archives that you can listen to on our website. But that's 3 to 5 hour blocks of time that you can't scroll through. Our conversation shows, once we get out of the soft open, they belong to our creators. So the State of Beer, that's their show. And we do ask them if they share it with other folks that they can mention it. As long as they mention that first heard on Little Raleigh Radio, it's theirs to do what they will with it. But we want to help them be able to either distribute those through like iTunes and various podcast mediums. It'll be a lot easier for the talk shows.
So you're WKNC alums, and it seems like there's so much synergy with kind of the environment of WKNC and Little Raleigh Radio? How are y'all balancing that? Could be competitive, but
It's not. It's just like with the trophy guys. You know, they are heavily involved in trophy brewing, but they're featuring all these other microbreweries in the state. Because if you create a healthy appetite for good radio, and if all the different organizations are working for that, then it's not going to feel competitive. We want to be excited about their programming and have them be excited about us.
So all ships rise.
Right.
And competition is good. I remember having a discussion with Charles from the Raleigh Public Record and Will Huntsberry when the Independent had poached Will Huntsberry from Raleigh Public Record to go and work for them. I was like, oh, Charles. And that was a little competition. He's like, that's good. We want that. That means that what we're doing is up on their level. Like, we're seen eye to eye. We're not looked at as just this little thing. But at the same time, we're also very different. We're not 18 to 22. We, balance other things outside of just school and school life. And it's open to just about anybody. I mean, we're not going to say, I'm sorry, you're not a student. So it's different and it's the same.
Like, they have their challenges that one of their main missions is they need to train people for a future in broadcasting. Our mission is to create a radio station that sounds like Raleigh. And so by us having that open door policy of if you're in Raleigh, we will help you until you're comfortable having your own show. And I think that blends well. And that's why we have people that, Rich still DJs on WKNC as well. Some of the Shaw folks wear both hats.
Back.
How do you go about applying for the show on the station?
So we did a first round of applications in October through December and then took that into January. Right now we're in the process of the soft launch, so making sure that all those shows are working. And so we'll do a call for applications in our next wave of training.
Around now, you can we haven't publicly done a call for content. Show priorities do go to our volunteers that are helping the nonprofits succeed. So if you fill out a show application, think about ways that maybe you would like to lend your resources to the organization. But April will be when we do our next call for content. I think the cutoff is going to be April 15th, and then training is going to start in May.
Yeah.
And
Charles.
First, I'd like to say it's been really fun to watch this over the past couple of years. It's been awesome to watch from the outside. But can you give like the 10-cent version of dealing with the FCC?
Hurry up and wait. No, literally, hurry up and wait.
So you have to appreciate where the FCC approaches things. Congress basically says, it'd be great, this thing. Go make rules on it. And so you have to almost look at dealing with the FCC as dealing with a board game.
It's been kind of back to that hidden challenge. It's been frustrating and amazing at the same time. Just as we kind of get super excited. We got our FCC application in, awesome, and then we turn around and find out we're competing with multiple Catholic organizations that have been around forever. And here we are super passionate about it and digging in and trying to make this happen, and great. World's biggest, largest, oldest organization is gonna get it. So we take it in stride. The FCC is not perfect by any means, and we disagree with some of the rules that they made for this application window, but we can't change those. So our priority is making a radio station, whether it becomes internet only or internet with partial FM, or perhaps we turn it into something that WRAL or WUNC wants to pick up on a B stream for their HD radio. That is in the future. So right now we're just working quarter by quarter.
In the future, do y'all plan to have your timeline until you have morning shows, midday shows, afternoon? Do you have a goal to try to fill out the day with full-time radio?
Yeah, so the show applications that we're hoping will be submitted by April 15th, we'll start training them in May. Our goal is at the end of mid-June, because it'll be a 6-week training class, will be to go from 4 hours a day until 8 hours a day. And then in October, our goal is to be, we'll do another training round, and we'll go from 8 hours a day to at least 12 hours a day, which is the commitment that we made to the FCC that we're going to be bringing this community to life with live original programs that amount of time. And long term, we want to have a 24-hour day radio station.
How many listeners do you think you can gain by having FM over just streaming?
It's more a question of, first, how people can listen. We don't want people to always be tied to their phone, always be tied to their computers. We want them to be out doing things in Raleigh, and by having it be in the air around, that way you have a continuity of listeners. But at the same time, hopefully we can make sure that radio belongs to everybody. But I don't know how we would track that yet.
Yeah, I mean, to track FM listeners, you have to subscribe to Arbitron, which is a service that is somewhat specific but costs a lot of money, which we would most likely never do. But the FM thing is kind of, it catapulted us into what we're doing, so we're not going to abandon it. Right. And as much as people like to say, you know, everybody has a smartphone, they're all on their smartphones, the internet is still a great divide for a lot of people. If you don't have a computer in your home, or you don't have a high-end computer in your home, or you don't have a smartphone, getting regular access to the internet and streaming media is something that's not easy for you. So radio is still very relevant.
You might listen on the internet at work, and then when you get home, and Riley is doing the Great American Songbook, you can have a cocktail and just relax in your living room, and FM lets you do that.
Got time for probably one more question? Or is the station going to move next door, perhaps?
So we
are having great conversations about that. HQ Raleigh is being really engaging with us about making that move. There's a lot of things that will go up into account, like how long a lease would be, what that upfit cost would be. Would we have to not have a period where we're not providing content, things like, and no, we won't have a period. Now that we're doing content, we won't have a period where we're not providing it.
We have to make the decisions kind of like based on the organization's status as well. Yes, we would absolutely love tomorrow to move into HQ Raleigh. Let's do it. But if you throw, a 6-year-old on a full-speed 10 road bike, and expect them to just hit the ground and keep going, they're probably going to fall. So we have to think about it as what's good for the health of our organization and the people, so that we don't overcommit and set ourselves back. So.
Great. Well, thanks again.
Thank you.